Hello everyone, it is day 44 of TowerGate. Welcome back. April the 16th, 2017, day 44. Alright. Well, let's see what's happened in the last 24 hours. Again, as I was saying a couple days ago, a lot of times when there's information that needs to get out but you don't want it getting very much attention, you leak it during holidays and long weekends and things like that when there's very little media stuff going on. People aren't paying very much attention to what's going on in the media because they're doing family things. By the way, happy Easter, everybody. It is Easter Sunday. So let's take a look at some things that are seeping and dripping around. You know, we got some serious bad plumbing going on in the swamp right now. Dripping and leaking. It's happening everywhere in the swamp. Okay, here's one that's popped up in the last 24 hours. It hasn't really gurgled to the top of the surface yet, but I'm sure it'll find its way there. It appears that Susan Rice is trying to cut a bit of a deal. She wants two things, really. Number one, what she's wanting to do is, in coming in and testifying, she doesn't want to come out in front of a public, open hearing. She wants to do a closed hearing, which means behind closed doors. Which means that in a closed door session, a person is generally not put under oath. In a congressional hearing, it's not the same as an FBI investigation or anything like that. Generally, when they do a behind the scenes sort of closed door session in Congress, it's more of a fact finding thing. It's not really a grilling session or anything like that. So it's optics. It's all about the optics right now. This is what the Democrats have to fall back on, because they know that they're going to be found, at the very least, guilty of surveilling Trump, unmasking conversations between possibly Trump himself and other people around him. And the question is going to be, was it politically motivated or not? That can be argued and in such a way that it can be subjective. So this is the only thing that they can do at this point. And so for the optics of the situation, Susan Rice wants to do a closed session behind closed doors. She doesn't want to have a public hearing. I don't think that they're going to go with that. Then that leaves her second option. And her second option is that she does a public hearing, but that she doesn't have to be placed under oath. Now, if you remember, this goes back to the Benghazi hearings. All the people called to testify during the Benghazi hearings, Susan Rice being one of them, Hillary Clinton, they would not really want to cooperate with that whole Benghazi thing if they had to be placed under oath because, again, of optics. They didn't want it to look like this is a criminal investigation. These are hearings to put people under oath, to try to find out who's lying, to try to find some criminal activity, to try to find a perp. That would be bad optics. So the negotiations and agreements were made that they would not be under oath and that they could make it look more like a fact-finding mission. So they could say, well, this is not about, trying to find someone who did criminal activity or did anything wrong. This is simply about trying to find out what happened, get the facts out so that we can try to improve so that something like this does not happen again. It was all about the optics. And of course the negotiations were made, and this is the direction it ended up going to. And this is why Trey Gowdy was so upset, I think, if you go back and look at some of the interaction between him and Rice and him and Hillary Clinton, you could tell he was furious because he's used to having people under oath as a former prosecutor. And because it turned into a Q&A session instead of a prosecutorial session where he feels much more comfortable, he was flustered because he knew that Hillary and Susan Rice were lying directly to his face time and time again. This is why I suggested yesterday that if he gets Susan Rice in front of him under oath, he will crawl up her ass and stretch out. There's no question about it. He hasn't forgotten that she lied to his face over and over again, repeatedly, as well as Hillary Clinton did, and other people, by the way. So anyhow, this is just one of the things that's kind of seeping and burbling around, is that Susan Rice is trying to cut a deal to either do her her meeting with the Congress behind closed doors in a closed hearing, or she wants to try to do it without being placed under oath. Unfortunately, I don't think she's going to be successful. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to force her to be under oath, and at which point it'll be interesting to see if she then is. She will be advised by her lawyer to plead the fifth, but the only problem with that is that we know that she unmasks the intel, and if she chooses not to testify in the hearings, then it's most likely that they will go ahead and move, because the Republicans do control the committee. They'll go ahead and move and say, okay, well, you won't testify under oath. We're just going to go ahead and turn this over to the Attorney General and let him appoint a special prosecutor, seat a grand jury, and then you have no choice. So this is the predicament she finds herself in. She either risks going in front of the committee, which has no prosecutorial power, cannot really do anything to her, and doing the best she can to spin and obfuscate in front of them, or she tries to plead the fifth, not cooperate, in which case they can just say, okay, well, we know that you unmasked, possibly you're the leaker, or you know who was the leaker, that was a criminal act. There's enough smoke here that we think that we can get the Attorney General to recommend a special prosecutor, convene a grand jury, and then you really don't have any choice. You will be coming in to testify, but this time it will be in front of a prosecutor with real possibilities of criminal charges being filed against you if in fact you're found to have broken the law. And let's not forget one other element of this as well. If she goes and testifies under oath, and she is caught lying under oath, that is an additional crime, in addition to the original crime of maybe being a part of this, leaking this intel after unmasking the names, being in the loop. That's a crime in itself. But if then you go in front of a committee where you're under oath and you lie about it, now that is a crime. Also, if she is not forthright, if she attempts to mislead. Misleading, again, what happens a lot of time, people outright lie. Of course, obviously that is a crime, lying. But what some people try to do is they try to spin and not necessarily come out and directly lie, but they mislead. Well, misleading is also a crime. So if she lies or misleads, those are separate crimes. So she's in a real tough pickle, and her problem is that she's not some low-level person. And the problem is also that there's no one between her and Obama. And I can absolutely guarantee you that the one question that's perplexing her, and the one question that's the one that they can't get around, is the fact that she knows that when she goes and appears in front of that committee, that Trey Gowdy is going to look her directly in the eye, having her under oath, and ask her if Obama ordered her to unmask those names. She is going to be asked if Obama ordered her to unmask those names. That is the question. That is the gotcha question. And that is the question that's going to be put directly to her, probably from Trey Gowdy, maybe others. And she will be in a real sticky situation. Because, you know, if you're answering the questions and you've decided not to plead the fifth, and you're asked that question, you cannot lie and you cannot mislead. She can't spin herself out of that one. That's a yes or no question. It's a really difficult one to spin out of. And it's that question that is the question that is going to be why her attorney is going to tell her to plead the fifth. Of course, it also means that if she does so, that most likely the Republicans are going to recommend, once the hearings are over and all the information comes in, that it is going to be referred to the Attorney General to appoint a special prosecutor, in which case she will be hauled into a courtroom, subpoenaed, facing a jury and a prosecutor, and she'll be asked that question anyway. And this time, she will have to answer the question. This is the question. That's it. That is where the hook is. And this is the question that's got her so perplexed about what she should do. Did Obama order you to unmask those names? My. You do not want to be Susan Rice being asked that question. Okay. That is the main thing that's being surfaced in the last 24 hours. Nothing else. Again, it's Easter Sunday. There's not a whole lot going on, but that did pop up. I discovered that last night. It's not all over the place yet, but in the next week or two, as we approach these hearings, I'm sure that will bubble to the surface. That is what is being negotiated, though, behind the scenes. She's trying to get a closed hearing or an open hearing where she does not have to be placed under oath. I don't think that they're going to go along with it. So she's nervous right now. You can guarantee that, and a lot of other people. So I was just thinking, what a bad year it has been for the Democrats. I mean, 2016 was a very, very bad year. They have the anointed one with $1.2 billion who is defeated by someone who wasn't even supposed to have a chance, who spent half as much money as she did. In the process of doing that, they also managed to destroy or create massive chaos and problems within their own party, a split within their own party, because the emails that were leaked told us that there was a campaign going on, an operation going on between the Clinton campaign, the DNC, and left-wing outlets working together to cheat Bernie Sanders. This, of course, really pissed off all those progressives, and now they've created a civil war within the party, and there is no reconciliation happening. In fact, just the opposite. What is actually happening is that the progressives have essentially declared war on the corporate Democrat Party. They are not interested in making up. They're not going to kiss and make up with the Democratic Party. They are furious. They want to take down their own party. And on the corporate side, the Democratic Party, the establishment side, of course, they have been in the process since Tom Perez came in of weeding out all the progressives within the Democratic Party establishment. So this is a war. It is not going to get resolved. Neither side is going to give up. This means they're a split party. They're going to go into 2018 a split party. They're going to go into 2020 a split party, because the progressives are going to try to get behind another progressive, whether it's Bernie or someone else. And of course, it's likely that the corporate Dems will try to put Hillary in there and let her do her victory lap to make it a Trump-Clinton Part 2 rematch, which she will most likely lose again unless Trump does something disastrously stupid. And that's how that will go. So it's been a very, very bad year in 2016 for the Democrats. 2017 is shaping up to be an even worse year because, of course, this entire narrative, it's kind of funny. They create this narrative that they tried to sell, that Trump and Putin were collaborating to steal the election from Hillary Clinton. And now that the air has just gone out of that balloon, the entire thing has been flipped. And now it appears that just the opposite was true. Now it appears that there was a collaboration between the Democratic Party, the intelligence agencies, the Clinton campaign, to try to sabotage the campaign of their opponent, Donald Trump. And then, once he was elected, to try to sabotage his administration and hoping it would lead to impeachment, or at least ways make him very unpopular so that they could stall his agenda. So the entire thing is flipped on them. They just keep losing. Losing and losing and losing. And 2017 is going to be very bad because, of course, we are going to be getting these hearings going, and whether or not anyone actually is held accountable or whether they wiggle off the hook, it's still very, very bad optics when you have the top people in the CIA, the FBI, the Attorney General's office, Susan Rice herself, all these other people, high up people in the previous administration getting grilled by Congress for being involved in this unmasking. It's very bad optics. It isn't going to help them. And following on the heels of that, it appears that Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General Sessions, is now going to reopen the the IRS hearings, and it looks like they may be wanting to have some more conversations with Lois Lerner, who didn't want to talk last time. It looks like this time they may try to gather enough evidence to appoint a special prosecutor and convene a grand jury and force her to testify. She won't be able to plead the fifth there. Well, she can try, but she's probably, that would be the noose around her neck. So it doesn't look good for them there. And of course, the Clinton Foundation, there's still a lot of bones buried in that graveyard, and it appears that they are also, Attorney General Sessions also has people sniffing around the Clinton Foundation, and so Hillary may not even be out of the woods. Now, if you're a political person, which Jeff Sessions is and the Republicans are, you might want to let that one hold off until somewhere right after the 2018 midterms, when Hillary is getting ready to go out for her victory lap to be the 2020 nominee, and then you start digging into that Clinton Foundation. So it was a bad year in 2016. It's going to be worse in 2017, and 2018 could be just a complete disaster, which would lead up to 2020, which would be political Armageddon for the Democrats. So it just doesn't look good for the Democrats. Alrighty. Well, that is TowerGate Day 44, April the 16th, 2017. Hopefully you guys had a good Easter. Hopefully it's not over yet. There's still half the day left, so hopefully you're all still doing well. Hopefully you got some speckled eggs or whatever. Hopefully you didn't eat so many that you got a stomach ache or anything like that. I like hard-boiled eggs, but after 3 or 4 of them, it can get a little dicey. Okay, so we'll be back tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. And I have another video for you probably tomorrow as well. We're going to dig into the North Korean situation again, but we're going to look at it. We've been looking at it mainly from the point of view of the way America sees the situation with North Korea. But I'm going to take a look at it more from a different angle, the angle from China and South Korea's point of view, and Japan as well. And because that's going to have a lot to do with what we do and how we do it. So we'll take a look at it from a different angle tomorrow, as well as the Day 45 of TowerGate. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate all your support for your people who have subscribed. I appreciate that, sharing the videos and things like that. We'll continue to stay on this story until it's done. And again, this could be a couple of years, but we're staying on top of it, and we'll keep following it, and hopefully we'll see maybe justice will be served on these criminals who, quite honestly, need to go to jail. Alrighty, y'all take care.